So my name is Travis Morrison, and I work for Equitable Advisors, um, a big investment insurance firm.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, it's always financial game, but this one can go even deeper because he has the education, the certification. I have Travis Morrison. He's going to give us the game on how he got into the financial game. Now, he is properly dressed the way you would think a financial guy is. And when I met him at the Talented Teen Club, shout out to Miss Sean Hoking, I saw Travis and he was more relaxed, but he had the most beautiful chain. I think some of the rappers borrowed his chain when he is in booth. It was a beautiful chain, and it wasn't like too much. He wasn't OG in it. Over gold. He had,
Just a little something.
Yeah, man, you say that. If it's a little something, let me hold it. But Travis, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Hey, man, I appreciate it, Kellen. Yeah, it's good to be here, for sure.
Man, great to have you. Can you tell the people what your specialty is in the financial game of what you do day to day?
Yeah, my focus is wealth management, but and which is a really a general term that means so much, and there's so much different ways you can invest. So I just try to focus on really, generational wealth for, individuals or clients that I'm helping. And then for myself, just kind of growing my business, my personal business, um, investing all sorts of different ways. Mm-hmm.
Okay, now wealth management and,
Mm-hmm.
high value is a big ticket thing on social media, especially, YouTube. Everyone's out there now that,
Mm-hmm.
high value, need a high value man, this and that.
Mm-hmm.
People are thinking, okay, well, I got six figures. I'm considered now wealthy. Can you tell people at what stage of the game would you advise someone to get, wealth management help?
Oh, like the second you start making income, I think it's important to talk to somebody that has some experience or and knows about finances. Yeah, the second you start getting income, the younger the better, really. You don't want to start late, because the whole thing about investing in any which way you look at it is just time. So the younger you start, the earlier you start, the better off you're going to be later on down the road. So I would tell everyone to start as soon as possible. Even if they're young kids, like at least you can start learning. YouTube, you can learn anything.
Okay. You talk about YouTube, are there any channels? Maybe you even have one before this comes out. Maybe today you push a YouTube channel out. What channels would you, say watch?
Yeah, that's a good question. No, I do watch a lot of different things, of course, a lot of podcasts, I listen to a lot of books, definitely on YouTube all the time. For channels, maybe I have to look some up here.
And
You know,
if I caught you off guard, you take your time and think about it. Really, we want to see the Travis Morrison channel.
Yeah, that's what I need to put out.
Yeah, we need more channels that are talking about it because we have, great channels out there that are doing it their way. But I think if we had more financial folks than we have folks who are twerking or folks that are rapping, we would see our culture, our community change in a drastic way.
For sure. The our community, the Black community really needs a lot of financial help. We're so far behind. So it's just kind of getting that info out there and and just jumping in. I think that's the best way. Yeah, you can learn all day, but you want to take action. You don't want to just sit on the sidelines and wait till the next best thing comes along or someone tells you to get in. Like you want to take action right away.
What's the number one mistake you see, people between 25 and, let's say 35 or 45 make? You're constantly, educating people on like, no, it's probably better for you to do it like this.
Yeah, number one mistake is just not saving and investing. That's kind of what I'm hearing a lot, is just you're not doing anything, or you might have heard about it and thought about it, but like again, you still haven't started anything. And especially in those years from 25 to 30 years, like that's when you're already late then technically, but from there till you're 60, that's a good 30, 40 years, and you can really accumulate a large sum of money by the time you retire. Or maybe you have short-term goals too, but it's just getting started, putting something away, maybe doing getting on a budget, kind of tracking kind of your income and what you're spending out, and saying, if you have some discretionary income, even if it's $100 a month, right? At least put something away for yourself. You don't have to start big. You don't need a lot of money, but you got to do something. And everyone has a different, financial background and situation. So it's always everything I do is a customized, plan for that individual, or for that owner, or the couple. It's not like one thing is for everybody. Everyone has a different, goal.
Now, everyone has a different goal, but the stats show that married people tend to have more savings. And there's when you got two heads, maybe you have conflict where now we ain't gonna buy that, or we're not gonna do this. What have you seen, be the greatest factor? Like, okay, somebody is saving, but do you see certain funds, maybe you're a fan of Dave Ramsey, which we know Dave loves term, hates whole. I know you have your Series 7 and a whole bunch of other certifications. Like, what path do you lead? I would say the majority of your people.
Definitely, I would advise everyone to a few things. So I look at it a few different ways. There's long-term, there's short-term, and then there's protection as well too. So long-term is retirement. Maybe your employer might have like a 401k or something like that you can take part in. If they don't, you can open up your own IRA. So that's like a long-term play. And I would say, hey, you can put like I said, $100 a month in that, and you doing 100 a month into an IRA, right? That's just right. 100 a month into an IRA, and you're doing this for, you're going to have almost $150,000 in that account in 30 years time, if, with the average market interest rate. So that's like a long-term thing, right? And then also you don't want to do a short-term. And retirement, for younger people is going to be looking real different in 30 years. So it's not the same as how it was. So yeah, I say put money for a long-term away, but I'm more focused on the short-term, right? So everyone should be looking at a brokerage account, right? Investing in mutual funds, is that's what usually in a brokerage account. And mutual funds are just a bunch of companies, Apple, Amazon, Google, all in one fund. Instead of buying like a share of Tesla or Apple or individual stocks, the mutual fund is going to be a little bit easier to manage for beginners, especially someone that's not familiar with the market, right? So I would say, and the best way to play the market is just to put consistent contributions into the market on a weekly, monthly, whatever the basis is. When the market is up and when the market's down, right? Just to keep putting in there and forget about it, right? So definitely short-term brokerage account is good because you have access to that money anytime at all. The money is usually you can invest it a little bit more aggressively. Returns are like 10 to 15% a year. You could see on a short-term account like that compared to an IRA. It's more like I said, it's more long-term, and you can't even touch that money. You can't take that money out till you're 60. So I mean, that's a long time away. So that's the two sides of just investing and kind of saving up money, right? You have short-term and long-term. On the other side, you didn't mention term and whole. The protection is super important. I mean, especially as you get older, you have a family, you have kids, you have a house, you have assets. You want to protect all those things, right? And think about it, right? You buy insurance for everything. You have car insurance, you have insurance on your house, you have insurance on your phone, right? And you don't insure the most important asset at all, which is yourself, right? It's your income, right? Because without the income, you can't even pay for anything, your house and your car and then your phone and everything else, right? So if something happens to you, right? If you're disabled or you're sick and you can't work, right? Or of course, if you pass away, right? What's going to happen to your family, to your assets? Is there a plan in place for that? So having the proper protection is one of the biggest cornerstones of a proper financial portfolio. Because yeah, you can save a lot, you can save some money, but if something happens, like you pass away, that money that you save, 100,000 goes really fast. You see what I'm saying? So it's good to have, you know, the proper insurance there. I like permanent policies, which you said a whole. So a permanent policy, there's a few different types. There's whole life, there's universal life, and there's variable universal life, right? A lot of people talk about whole life. Whole life are like policies that are for old. They're old. They're back in the day. They're old. Not really that good. They're real conservative. They don't have the much benefits as the newer policies, which are called universal life and variable universal life, right? And again, those fall under the permanent policy category. And the great thing about permanent policies, right, why I like them, the universal and variable universal, right, is because not only that you have the death benefit, the protection, which is important, that we all need that protection, you know, and again, that protection is the the best way to pass along generational wealth. You see what I'm saying? So to pass along money to your kids and your kids' kids is through life insurance, and that's how people use it from time. They pass along these large sums of money through their life insurance. You see, the money that you save is to spend for yourself, not to leave to the next generation. That's to spend for yourself and be comfortable for the rest of your life. So you got to have that. You know, if you spend all the money, you got to pass something else along. So not only that the permanent policy has a protection, which it also is an investment, right? So you can have other different benefits on it if you get sick and disabled and things like that to help you pay medical expenses. But more importantly, right, it builds money in the policy, which is called cash value, which is tax-free money, which having tax-free bucket is very good to have, because most of the money that you're going to get is you have to pay taxes on that money. Okay. So that insurance policy builds up a tax-free money. So for example, if that policy costs $100 a month, right? You have that policy for 10 years, and then the policy has $10,000 of cash value in that policy. That money you can use and go ahead and put a down payment on a house or a car, or use it for your kids' college, or for whatever you want. Or if you let it sit until, 30 years from now when you retire, that 10,000 might look like, 40,000. So now you have another $40,000 to add to your retirement account and whatnot to help you supplement, to be comfortable in retirement. So the variable universal life and universal life, those policies are a huge corner to any good financial portfolio, and they're super, super flexible. Now compare a permanent policy like the whole life, right, to the term policy. Those are good because they're cheap and they give you a lot of insurance. Like for a 30-year-old, I can get you $1 million of coverage for like, $30 a month, right? And it depends on your health. The whole insurance always depends on your health, so that's a factor as well too. But it's really cheap. You can get a lot of coverage, for $30 a month. Now, if you pass away tomorrow, your beneficiary gets $1 million. That's the best return on investment ever. You see what I'm saying? So those are good for early in the game. You want to get something. You want you actually need, like, everyone probably needs $1 million of coverage. 100,000 is not enough to do anything. So to get something like that is, I would say, you get that early on in your life, a cheap policy, $1 million or whatever the number is. And then the good thing about it is, if you even get that, you can convert that term policy into a permanent policy later on in life, without going through the whole underwriting process. And the thing is, term policies expire in like 20 years compared to permanent policies last for the rest of your life. So that's just a little bit differences between the insurance protection. Everyone should have insurance at some point. At some point, you're going to want insurance. Why not get it earlier while you're younger and you're healthier, and you get it cheaper? You lock that rating in for the rest of your life. You see what I'm saying?
No, definitely. Now, I think a lot of, Black males, the reason why we might not have insurance of the rate of others isn't just the knowledge. A lot of people have heard about insurance, but then we'll say, man, the males in my family, all the males have died at 60, right? But we also have to account for Vietnam, and some people came back with bad habits, and some people ate bad habits, and so you just can't say that, because the average Black male in this country, at least, is like 78. So there's a lot of life to give, even if you're in your 30s, 40s, or even 50s, to say, how am I going to keep going? But we say, okay, we want to get the insurance, the in case stuff happens, as Chris Rock put it. Mm-hmm. We don't always know if, what tests we're going to have to get. Also, some of us get nervous because if you're in a certain neighborhood, the actuaries, the people who decide, how much
Mm-hmm.
your policy is really going to be,
Mm-hmm.
very few of them look like you and me. And we know we
Mm-hmm.
always get like the bottom of the stick. If our house gets evaluated, $100,000 less if they think it's a
Mm-hmm.
black home. Are there
Mm-hmm.
any things that you see in insurance and in finance that are helping solve any of those problems that I just mentioned?
So it kind of comes back to like, the earlier you do things, the better off you're going to be if you're talking about like getting the best bang for your buck, right? With investments, with insurance, it's just a time thing. You start early, you get it in early, you're healthier, whatnot, you're going to get a better deal than others would. To your other question, I mean, you're saying like, maybe black people might be nervous or maybe they don't. A lot of times I find that people just don't understand the information, right? And if they don't understand it, that's when they kind of get nervous and scared, and they kind of shy away from it. So I try to I try to lead with education first, making sure everyone understands what's going on, and then at least they can make well informed decisions. You know, and yeah, unfortunately in the black community, we don't really, yeah, we don't have insurance, or we don't really have money passed down to us like from our parents and our grandparents. Like that's pretty rare. So, first of all, you should want to break the cycle. So at least to set up the next generation, if that's not, if that's the case. And again, like that's how we excel as a community. I mean, by black owned business, start investing in ourselves, like keeping our money within the community. You know what I mean? And you got to do that through investing in insurance. Like it's the only way. And either and pretty much is there's only two ways, maybe three ways to make money. Um, Either you're working, you have an honest job, you're working for your money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you invest your money and it's working for you. You know what I mean? Like, so I mean, I don't really want to work a lot. Like I want to relax and enjoy myself. And if I can, yeah, if you're investing your money and that money is making X amount of dollars a day, then like it just makes everything easier.
People want to, say, okay, I want to retire. I tell
Mm-hmm.
people I don't know what retirement will look like because
Right.
if you love what you do, you never work for a day in your life. And I've had real jobs. So I'm like, man,
Mm-hmm.
this is pretty good compared to,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
being in that good oil field. That money was
Mm-hmm.
solid, but,
Mm-hmm.
but it's nice to be able to call shots.
Mm-hmm.
You, what does retirement look like? I mean, I know it's 30, might be
Yeah.
30 off, or it could be 5 minutes off. But what does
Yeah.
retirement look like for you?
Yeah. So, like I said before, I think retirement it's not the same how it was for our parents and, other generations before. And especially like, man, things are changing so fast in every different like aspect. So who knows what the next 20 years is gonna look like. Um, so for me, retirement, and like I'm a hustler, man. I'm not gonna stop working. Like like I said, if it's fun, it's not even work. You know what I mean? And so retirement to me is your you have enough money to pay all your bills, pay all your expenses. You don't have to get out there and look for another check. You have some money coming in. You've invested, you've accumulated enough money over your lifetime that you can maybe live off the interest and have whatever that asset you accumulated generate a paycheck for you or an income for you, right? So you can kick back in and relax and do whatever you want at any time you want to. If you want to buy something, if you want to travel somewhere, if you want to anything, you can do that. You're not tied to working for someone. I mean, how long you want to work? You don't want to be working in your 60s and 70s. My goal, I want to retire when I'm 40. Like I'm not, and maybe you have your own business and maybe you can run the business or something like that, right? And you're still an older person. You kind of technically maybe retired and someone's managing for you, but yeah, someone kind of that's kind of what retirement looks like for me. I mean, just relaxing, just a good lifestyle, being able to go anywhere, do anything I want to do, which um I feel like yeah.
Okay. And with the success that you're having now, and it's only going to get greater and greater, the best is yet to come. What is a community give back that you are doing now or that you would like to do in the future?
Yeah, so I've been doing work in the community, working with a lot of young kids. I work in a lot of schools doing, I put on like events, just like they'll ask me to speak for a little bit. Um, and I just kind of go over financial like literacy. That's the main thing I kind of talk about, especially to the young kids, because the sooner they can start, like I said, the better off they're gonna be, and they're gonna be way ahead of all of us. You know, if I knew this stuff and started this stuff back in like high school, it would have been a whole different ball game. And that's 10 years ago or so. You know what I mean? And a lot can happen in 10 years. You can do a lot. Um, so yeah, so anyone that like just wants information, I'll volunteer my time, whatever it is. Like I'm always open to kind of give back and spread some info and help out where I can. If anyone wants to reach out.
Definitely. Now, I want you to take a second to think about this because I'm
Hmm.
rarely ever wrong. Trump and I are born on the same day, so I'm really never wrong.
Okay.
But there's some type of creative artist vibe. I don't know if it's painting. I don't know if it's writing music, playing music. I don't know what it is. For all I know, that chain that you had, you made that. You're letting everyone know, yeah, I do this too. I might be behind the scenes. What's your thing that you do that's creative that has nothing to do with the finance?
That's creative. That's a good question. I mean, man, I feel like I just for me, like I'll sit down and just try to come up with all different ideas on how I can hustle and make a little more money or kind of get myself to the next goal. So I guess I don't know that I feel like that's probably the creative part. So for example, like I dabble in real estate, I'll dabble in, crypto, stocks, trading. Of course, that's the more investment stuff. Like like even you saw that jewelry, like you see this ring here. I made this ring. Like I literally bought a 3D printer, printed a mold, bought the gold, bought some diamonds, like I made this ring. So something like that, if I can flip that, that's another hustle. I try to sell things online too as well. I used to sell like sneakers and things like that as well online when I was back in the day. So I think that's the more creative side, is that I'll just like, of course, brainstorm, talk with people. It's not me alone. Like you got to have a team around you always. Like it's never you can't do it alone. So yeah, that's kind of I guess my creative role. Music, yeah, I can't make any music in any way. Um, yeah,
Wait,
I'm
but
good.
I
I'm good with my hands. Yeah, I'm
okay,
good
I
with
told
building
you
stuff.
I was never wrong. And you guys say, how do you, it's a gift from God. That man made a ring on a
Oh
3D
yeah,
printer. Let's tap
yeah,
into
yeah,
that a little bit. We just can't go over that because people are like, hold on, you making jewelry?
yeah. I just
Yeah,
started trying
talk
to
more
do
about
that.
that.
Yeah, I mean, it's bro. I mean, listen, this bro, this card, this ring right here. This is like it was like an $8,000 Cartier ring that I bought that I got the mold from. So yeah, I got a mold, 3D printed it, took it to the jeweler. He poured the gold up, ordered some diamonds. They put the diamonds in. I mean, a $8,000 ring, I can make it for $1,000 and I can sell it for 2,000 or whatever. You feel me? Or I can
Nah,
customize whatever it is. So that's just another hustle. I just put a little buy a little 3D printer was cheap. Just do a little research. It's easy. It takes nothing. So anyone can start any type of hustle or business, and you don't even need a lot of money. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, and I think that's the start. Especially at the end of the day, like you don't want to be working for someone for the rest of your life. That's not how you get rich and wealthy. You can get a paycheck, but people that are making millions of dollars, they're not really working for somebody. They're running their own business. Of course, they're investing. So if you can start like a little cleaning service or renting your car out, or like I love rental income and real estate, that stuff's good too. But those are simple things that anyone can do. It doesn't necessarily have to cost a lot to the startup fee to do it. The research is easy. YouTube has everything, right? And you can you can start your own hustle after you do your day job until you get it something decent going. So I would encourage everyone to find something that they can do for themselves that whether they can sell something or put content out, or something that they can kind of build something around themselves. So who knows what happens with their job or their day job? Like at least you can have a following or have something for yourself.
You teach a mini class right here. You guys, I take a pen and a pad for these next questions that I ask, because I've had my friends who have 3D printed stuff up for me. I'm just grabbing something, just
there you go. There you go.
Geometry stuff that
Yeah.
we got, and I tell my kids, okay, you guys are gonna get on this 3D printer. For
Yeah.
someone listening right now saying, wait, this man just told me, okay, I need to get my finances right, but I can go buy a 3D printer and make some real flips. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Can you let them know what type of 3D printer you bought to make that happen? For that person who's in Kentucky right now, who's in Lubbock, Texas, who says, I don't know anybody like you. I need to know more of that game.
No, I mean, everyone needs to do research. That's what I think. So you can buy a 3D printer. I mean, what, $500, $600, $700. Yeah, some are definitely more expensive, but and depending on, I guess, what you're printing and whatnot, depending on what you need. But I would just go online, look up some 3D printing, kind of see what your price range is, right? And I mean, the 3D printers are really amazing. They can do so much stuff, and I'm excited about the future of them and a lot of other things. Just technology in general is gonna be real interesting in a few years. But what they want to do. But yeah, that's just like one easy, simple thing that and I was doing I've used a 3D printer like 10 years ago. That was like when I was like young. I was using 3D printers. I was doing some engineering. I was doing engineering in school and whatnot. So we had 3D printing, and that's what exposed me to it. I was like, oh wow, this can like print anything. But yeah.
Wow. And so the 3D printer, tell people though this, because people think, oh, I'm gonna get the 3D printer and it's gonna do everything for me, and they don't know. You have to, get more education. You have to practice.
Yeah, for sure.
You gotta practice. How much
everything?
How much practice did it take for you to get your ring right?
Oh, a lot. Like I definitely failed and messed up the molding and how it pours out and whatnot. Because it's kind of I don't know, the printer was a little it's just touchy. Just that always there was an issue, an error was somewhere or something like that. So yeah, it's gonna take some time. It's gonna take a few tries, but I mean, it's not, you can knock it out in, I mean, a weekend. You know what I mean? It's not like it's gonna take you months or something like that. It's just a weekend, a week. You play around with it, you practice, you make sure you understand the machine that you're using, right? The equipment you're using, and then you can print whatever you want to print.
Man, so you guys, if you have nothing else that you've learned about finance, the 3D printing game, I'm going to drop Travis's information in the description box. I can't give you the information I have because you'd be bugging him too much. But, for those who are serious about financial game, or you say, you can try to guilt trip them and say, I got a 13-year-old son. We don't have anyone like you. That might work with the information that he allows me to drop in there, but know that you've been blessed by the game. Travis, do you want to leave them with anything?
Yeah, I mean, if anyone has questions, needs help, just wants some advice, listen, you can drop my phone number, they can call me, they can text me, anytime. It's all good. And like I said, I tell everyone, action, man. Don't just wait on it. Don't wait for the housing market because some people say it's gonna dip or Bitcoin or whatever. Just start with something small. $100, right, or something small. Do that. Get a little comfortable with it going up and down depending on whatever you're invested in, right? And keep that going. Keep consistently doing something. So just to start saving money for yourself, right? Putting away in the market, not just saving money now, right? You get, just because you have money in your bank account or in cash, that you're losing on that money, because when you want to think about it, inflation is like everything gets expensive and the dollar gets weaker. Inflation is really high right now. An interesting fact too, even though over the last year and a half, the amount of money and cash the government printed is like half our money supply right now, which is a crazy number. And right now we're seeing inflation increase from 2 to 3.5%, and it's gonna definitely go more, like by the end of the year and next year, right? Meaning that things are gonna get more expensive. We see that every day. Gas, our goods, everything's getting more expensive. Your dollar in your bank account, $100 is not gonna be worth $100 next year. It's gonna be worth, $98, $97, whatever, right? It's gonna be worth less. So the only way to avoid inflation, that's the bad thing about just having money in a savings account. Just because you have a nice savings account, that doesn't mean anything. You're not invested. You're not making any money. You're just losing money. You're losing, right? So you have to be in the market, and not even in the market. Well, yes, you have to be in the market, and not like just in some small fixed account getting 2-3%. That's nothing. You can't do nothing off that. You have to be actually in the market, getting 5% up to 8%, 10% more. So you have to be a little bit aggressive as well too. Everyone has a different risk tolerance, but at the end of the day, the only way to make money is to invest it into the market so you get a decent return. So definitely, if not me, talk to someone else that knows something about investments and just start something as soon as you can, because you'll be better off, and you'll thank yourself in 5, 10, 20 years.
Man, guys, I'm not going to give you his number. I'm going to ask him for the email, because I'm one of those where even while I'm doing these interviews, I know the people calling me, and some of them listen. Not going to give you the number until, if Travis tells me, oh man, I set up that Acuity account. So when they call me, it goes right to my Acuity, and they got to book a session, because time sucks you to the point where you're like, man, I wanted to help people, but they took all that I had.
I feel you.
Are you tired of the violence, tired of the injustice, police brutality, rampant discrimination, lack of gun control in this failed biased socioeconomic experiment called America? Or maybe you need a break from the relentless grind and want to regain control of your destiny, your wealth, your health, and your purpose. DiversifiedGame.com has the right course for you. Prepare for my first trip to Africa. Looking to reconnect with your roots, start a new business, or just a fresh start? Africa, aka the motherland, is waiting. Don't let the Chinese and the Mzungus have the fun and also take over the motherland. From Cairo to Mombasa, from Dakar to Cape Town, Africa has something for everyone, from business opportunities to the most amazing people, safety, leisure, and landscapes. The opportunities abound. It is time for the diaspora to reconnect with their roots. Time to reconnect with the birthplace of humanity. Africa is the last frontier. Get your head in the game and reclaim your legacy. The writing is on the wall. Babylon is falling. Give up the stress, grind, and violence inflicted on our people on this continent, and prepare for a journey of restoration enjoyed by connecting with the land of your ancestors. Check out our new course and kick off your adventure at DiversifiedGame.com.